This next episode of Trivia in Chief is about our 28th president, Woodrow Wilson, who led us through World War I. Thomas Woodrow Wilson was born December 28, 1856 in Virginia. His parents were Joseph and Janet Wilson. Since Andrew Jackson, Wilson is the only president with an immigrant parent, as his mother was born in England. As a child, Wilson went by Tommy. When he was 2, his family moved to Augusta, Georgia. During the Civil War, Wilson's family were Confederate supporters. His father was a chaplain of the Confederate Army, and his mother was a nurse. Wilson later witnessed former Confederate President Jefferson Davis marched in chains through Augusta. Tommy Wilson did not learn to read until he was 10, possibly due to dyslexia. He attended Princeton University, where he began going by Woodrow Wilson because he felt it sounded more professional. After graduating from Princeton in 1879, he studied law at the University of Virginia. He opened a law practice in Atlanta and stayed a lawyer for 2 years. Wilson decided to study political science and history, so he went to Johns Hopkins University. He received his PhD in 1886 and remains the only president with a doctorate degree. Wilson became a professor, and he was named president of Princeton in 1902. During his time as president, Wilson published his own 5-volume history textbook called The History of American People. Wilson also wrote several other books about political science. While president of Princeton, Wilson became known for his reforms in modernizing the school. In 1910, Wilson was elected governor of New Jersey, where he worked on reforming state politics. This earned him national attention, and he was nominated for president as a Democrat 2 years later. Prior to the 1912 election, the Republican Party had been split into 2 parties, led by William Howard Taft and Teddy Roosevelt. Because the Republican voters were split between 2 candidates, Wilson won the election. He was the first president born in the South elected since the Civil War. Wilson was also the final president to arrive at the inauguration in a horse-drawn carriage. Early during his time in office, Wilson signed into law the Underwood Act, which created a lower tariff. He also signed into law the Federal Reserve Act and helped create the Federal Trade Commission. Wilson helped the U.S. maintain neutrality in World War I. In 1916, Wilson ran for re-election under the campaign slogan, "He kept us out of war." Less than a year after winning re-election, Wilson asked Congress to declare war. During World War I, Wilson kept sheep on the White House grounds, so they could mow the lawn instead of men who could fight. The wool was auctioned, and the proceeds went to the Red Cross. After the end of the war, Wilson helped with negotiations for the Treaty of Versailles, and helped start the League of Nations, a precursor to the United Nations. On October 2, 1919, Wilson suffered a stroke, leaving him partially paralyzed. His wife, Edith, helped him run the country while he was recovering. Edith Wilson's story was covered in another video of mine. After leaving office, Wilson continued to have health issues. He passed away on February 3, 1924, and he was laid to rest at the National Cathedral. He remains the only president interred in Washington, D.C. Woodrow Wilson led us through World War I after a quick rise to the presidency. The next president was Warren G. Harding. Thank you.